My name carries no rank now, only a designation in the archive, Voss, last of the 9th Reclamation Wing. I am required to give this account once, on record, and then I am released from speaking of it again. That is the arrangement. I have kept it for 11 cycles. I will keep it until I die. The Cinder Verge was never a secret. Every navigator in the Thren fleet learns its coordinates before they learn their own service number, the way a child learns where the floor ends and the stairwell begins. A band of dead space, 3 sectors wide, ringing a single system no probe had returned an image from in longer than our written records extend. The decree predates the decree before it. Do not cross. No exception, no inquiry, no second attempt. The decree does not explain itself, and for 400 cycles, that absence of explanation was enough. It was not enough for the High Conclave, the cycle I held my commission. They had grown tired of inheriting a fear they had never tested. A junior counselor, I will not give her name, she does not deserve the weight of it, argued that an empire, afraid to confirm its own myths, was an empire ruled by ghosts. The 9th Wing was selected because we were expendable in the way that careful committees prefer, experienced enough to survive a reconnaissance, unimportant enough that our loss would not require a public accounting. I was given the order directly, by a superior who would not meet my eyes when he gave it. He read the briefing in the flat voice officers use when they have already decided not to argue with their own conscience, and at the end of it he told me, without irony, that the conclave considered this an honor. I followed the order anyway. That is the part of this account I will not soften. I knew better. I went regardless. Obedience is its own kind of arrogance, and I will not pretend mine wore a different face than the one the decree was written to warn against. I have heard junior officers since call my decision discipline. I have never once corrected them, and I have never once believed it myself. We crossed the Verge in formation, 11 vessels, sensors wide open, expecting nothing and everything. For 2 days there was nothing. The system at the center, the one our charts called Forgewell, hung dark and ordinary, a rust-colored world close enough to its sun to glow faintly along one hemisphere, fissured with old volcanic scarring, rings of ash suspended in high orbit like a held breath, no structures, no drive signatures, no defense grid of any kind that our instruments could register. It looked, if anything, abandoned. That was the first wrongness, though none of us named it as such at the time. A world this deep inside a forbidden band should have looked guarded. It looked forgotten instead. We told each other that was good news. My navigator, a quiet old hand named Threll who had flown longer than I had been alive, refused to log a single observation as routine. She catalogued the ash rings, the absence of any orbital wreckage despite 400 cycles of supposed incursions, the way the planet's single visible ocean basin had gone to a flat black glass that no longer reflected its own sun correctly. She told me, off the record, that a world this quiet did not feel empty. It felt like a room that had simply stopped making noise the moment we entered it, and was waiting to see whether we would notice. I told her she was imagining things. I have apologized to her memory more times than I can count since. I sent 2 scout craft down at dusk, local reckoning, because the readings beneath Forgewell's crust had started doing something our instruments had no clean word for. Not seismic, not quite thermal, a slow tidal pulse, deep under the mantle, that rose and fell with no relationship to the planet's rotation, as though something vast were breathing in its sleep and had not yet decided whether our presence was worth waking for. The scout teams reported strange heat blooms scattered across the ash plains, dozens of them, evenly spaced, cooling and flaring in sequence like a pattern being counted out. They asked permission to set down near one. I gave it. I have had 11 cycles to decide whether that single permission is the thing I am actually guilty of, and I have not finished deciding. The first transmission loss lasted 4 seconds and corrected itself, and we told each other it was atmospheric interference, because that is what you tell yourselves on the other side of a silence you do not yet understand. The second loss did not correct itself. What came through before it cut, in the half-second we managed to retrieve clean, was not a scream. I want to be precise about that, because precision is the only gift I have left to give the people who will read this. It was not a scream. It was a transmission, cutting off mid-syllable, clean as a blade, the way a word stops when the throat that was forming it no longer exists to finish it. I do not know what reached that scout team. I never saw it. None of us ever saw it, in any account I have managed to gather since, and I have spent 11 cycles asking everyone who might know. I ordered immediate withdrawal of every vessel still in atmosphere or in low orbit. None of the other 10 answered the order. Their last telemetry showed each of them simply stationary, engines hot, going nowhere, as if something had asked them to wait, and they no longer had any way left to refuse. I held position alone, high above the ash, for 6 hours past the point any rational commander would have already broken for the Verge, and not looked back, because the part of me that had followed the order in the first place wanted, badly, to bring something home besides a logbook and an empty roster. I brought back nothing else. I brought back myself, and the particular silence that settles into a bridge crew when they have stopped expecting anyone to answer the comm and have not yet found the will to say so aloud. The ash planes, in the last clean visual we recorded before we ran, had gone still in a way they had not been still on arrival. The heat blooms were extinguished. Every one, all at once, like a held breath finally released. Whatever had been counting itself out across that surface had finished counting. I do not know if that stillness meant satisfaction or simple patience. I have never wanted to find out. We lost 10 of 11 vessels and could account for the deaths of no one. There were no wrecks to recover, no remains to return to the families who would ask for them, no enemy fleet to name in a report that demanded a named enemy. The conclave wanted a battle to describe. I gave them an absence instead, and watched them struggle to write a citation for a war that had never visibly been fought. In the end, the record states only that the 9th Reclamation Wing entered the Cinder Verge with 11 ships, and that one ship, mine, came back out. The junior counselor who issued the order resigned within the cycle. I do not know if guilt or simple political survival drove it, and I have stopped caring which. The decree was reaffirmed within the week, in language stronger than before, and for the first time in 400 cycles, it was no longer treated as inherited superstition. I was the one who made it real for them. I have never decided whether that makes my survival a mercy or the cruelest part of the whole arrangement, that the only way the warning could be believed again was for someone to go and be the proof of it, and that the someone turned out to be me. I do not dream of Forgewell. I want that understood, because every account I have heard of incursions into human territory insists on the dreams, the haunting, the nightly return to the scene. Mine is plainer than that, and somehow worse. I simply do not go near star charts that include the Verge. I have built an entire career, an entire remaining life, around the architecture of not looking. When new officers ask me directly, and they do, every few cycles, some fresh recruit, certain that rank entitles them to the unvarnished version, I tell them what I am telling this record now, and nothing more. I tell them the heat blooms were counting. I tell them the silence afterward was worse than anything that came before it. I do not tell them what I think was breathing under that ash, because I do not know, and I have learned, at considerable cost, the difference between a warning and a guess. What I will say, the only thing I am certain enough of to put in a permanent record, is this. Whatever keeps that line drawn does not need to chase you to the edge of its territory to make its point. It only needs you to leave 10 ships behind, and one survivor who never goes near a star chart again, and let the rest of the galaxy do the work of remembering for it.